Hi, folks. Thank you for your patience. We're going to get started here in about 5 minutes. Also, if you got small kids and they need to go someplace where they can play and you can still watch the service, as you go out in the lobby, catty corner over to the right, there is the Family Center, so that's open if you need that. Anyway, we'll get started here in about 5 minutes. Thanks.
Let me ease your mind, oh babe. I got the remedy, yes I do. Now give me just a little time. You in my mind, girl, I wanna shake you down. I wanna rock you down. Give you all the loving you need. I'm gonna love you. Come on, let me take you down. Well, we'll go all the way to heaven. Girl, I've been missing you. And you know,
Good afternoon, everyone. It's so good to see everybody here to turn out for Kelly's celebration of life. It is a celebration of life, her love for you, her friendship, through really good times and even some tough times. So today we're going to celebrate Kelly's life with memories, with song, and we're going to have fun doing it because that's the way she would want it. Jesus said this, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." And that word mourn has a lot of different meanings. It certainly means we miss her deeply because she was loved very, very deeply. But it also means to remember your loved one well, and that's what we want to do today. And so we are going to just do that as best we can. And so get all your memories together. We're going to share a lot today. And one of the things I learned about Kelly is that she had a favorite pastor here. I'm Pastor Tim. I'm one of the pastors here. But she actually thought this pastor was very, very hot. And so we're going to have John come. This is John Loera. And he's going to open us in prayer.
You could tell Kelly had really poor judgment. You can tell from that. So, hey, I'm going to open us up in prayer. My name is John, and I'm one of the pastors here. And I'd also just like to start out just to the family, to Nicole and Juliet and Allison and Lynette and the whole family, just on behalf of Green Valley, just offer our condolences for your loss, because it's such a big thing in navigating losses like this. I also know that there's a promise that King David said in Psalm 34:18 that he says, God is close to the brokenhearted, and the way that he is close is through each other. And so as we come and celebrate Kelly's life today, we have the opportunity to see sort of God's closeness through our relationships. And so that is our prayer today, and this is how I would like to open up our time together, is in prayer. So if you wouldn't mind bowing your heads. Father God, we thank you for that promise that you are close to us in all aspects of life, God. The good times, the celebrations, the difficult times, the times of loss, and the times of grieving, that your promise is you're there. And as we celebrate and honor Kelly's life and remember her life today, God, there's a couple of things that I ask for us gathered here today. And number one is your presence, that you do promise us, as David said, this presence to walk along with us in all aspects of life. And also, God, your peace, that as we remember, that we just hold on to those memories and the impact and the legacy that is represented in this room today. So be with us today as we honor her and be present, and give us that peace as we lean into one another and also celebrate this amazing life, Kelly's life. And we just ask this in your name, and everyone says, amen. At this time, I'm going to ask Nicole to come up. She is going to share some thoughts about her mom, and so she'll do that at this time.
First, I just want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank those of you that are here in person, and also those that are here with us virtually, across the world, actually. But yeah, just thank you for joining us to honor and celebrate my mom, Kelly Marie Ladner. On January 16th, we lost a mother, a child, a sister, a grandma, and for many of us, including myself, we lost a friend. She passed away peacefully in her sleep at her home in Colfax, California. Kelly was born in Roseville, California on February 6, 1964, to her biological father and mother, Judith Ladner. Kelly was legally adopted by her father, Lovick Ladner, when she was 5 years old. Kelly grew up in Northern California and spent many years as a child and adult in Colfax. Kelly loved being a mom and a grandmother, and she had a deep love of music. She sang and played the guitar, flute, and keyboard. She loved gardening, cake decorating, and shared this love with her family as designated gardener and cake decorator. Cake maker. Hobbies she enjoyed were macrame, crochet, painting, as well as other types of art. Kelly is survived by her 5 children, Kyle Perry, Allison Allert, Edward Webb Sr., myself, and Juliet Mariscal. She is also survived by her mother, Judith Ladner. Fix my necklace. Siblings, Kevin Still, Lynette Collins, Judith Hartshorn, Levick Ladner, Jay Ladner, Stephanie Russell, Jason Russell, Brandy Morris, Peggy Ursilio, Tina Morris, and Donnie Morris. Kelly is also survived by her 9 grandchildren: Gabriella, Faith, Ivan, Leah, Hannah, Samson, Jamin, Jack, and other granddaughter named Hannah. That's you. Nieces and nephews: Jamie, Carrie, Kendra, Christopher, Sean, Ronnie, Shannon, Brenna, Wesley, Jared, Ashley, Ruby, Gabriel, Vivian, John, James, Ryan, Britlin, Levick Ladner, Ansley, Hunter, Holden, and Brentley. Kelly was preceded in death by her Aunt Joyce Griffiths, fiance Edward Webb Sr., father Levick Ladner, sisters Julie Ladner, Carrie Ladner, Lisa Morris, brother Leo Morris, and nephew Derek Hampshire. As you can see in front of me, today we honor those that welcomed her into heaven. Growing up, she was described by her mom as a very sweet but also passive child. When asked to do the chores, the answer was always yes, but my grandma always forgot what century to specify to have them done by. In high school, she enjoyed gymnastics and cheerleading. She could raise her hand straight in the air and was able to kick her hand. She could also kick some ass if anyone messed with her younger sisters. You've all heard the expression, looks like a butterfly, sings like a bee. That phrase embodied my mom. My mom was tough, and she was beautiful. At 17, she was expecting her first child, my brother Kyle. As I've gotten older, now 8 years older than she was at that time, I so admire my mom, her bravery and courage at such a young age. My mom wasn't perfect, but always did the best she can with the circumstances she was given. My mom had the biggest heart, and anyone that knew her knew that. She married her high school sweetheart and became Kelly Marie Perry. As she got older, she did some modeling. We have some of her photos in the slideshow, so I'll show you what I meant by butterfly. Can't show you all the photos though, at least not while we're in church, because they're really hot. She also enjoyed what everybody enjoyed in the 80s. Not that. Bright colors, big hair, music. She loved Pat Benatar, Madonna, Heart, Guns N' Roses. My mom was a rocker chick and hippie at heart. Although I heard her described recently as the last person in the world that ever needed pot because she was so chill. She really was. My mom was somebody that knew that was going to happen eventually. Okay, bring it back. My mom was someone that never judged. She loved everyone. Even when she didn't have much, she was the most generous person I've ever met. Some people use the expression, they would give the shirt off their back. My mom would give you the air from her lungs. If you knew her these last 8 years, I'm sure she offered you some of her oxygen. My mom always had this joke that she was going to slowly stash away a tank at a time and eventually open her own oxygen bar. In her early 20s, she worked at North Star Snow Resort where she met Steve. They later had my sister Allison and got married and became Kelly Marie Allert. They lived in Tahoe for many years. This is where her love for the outdoors and cake decorating blossomed. She managed a Baskin-Robbins. She was the manager at a Baskin-Robbins, but the locals knew her as the lady that gave away free ice cream. Tahoe was a special place in her life and grew to be a special place in my sister's life as well. She stayed in Tahoe and later met my dad, Edward Webb Sr. I tell you how they met, but again, we're in church, so ask me after. It's a funny story, and my mom loved to tell it. My mom and dad loved camping. They loved the river, really anything that they could do together outdoors. In 1995, they had my brother, Edward Webb Jr., and myself 2 years later. My mom always told me that I was a surprise, while my brother always reminded me that I was an accident. They lived in Southern California and later moved to Colorado. My dad proposed, but life had other plans, and we lost my dad before she could become Kelly Marie Webb. My mom went through trying times, grieving the loss of her children's father and the loss of her love. I was 5 and my brother was 7. I can't imagine the strength it took for her to not only tell us children that our dad was no longer on the earth, but to also move forward. Grief is never linear, as you all know, and my mom was not exempt from this. Although my mom struggled, she pushed forward and continued on, making the best of her circumstances. This is also something that I would grow to admire so much about my mom. A few years later, she grew close to an old friend of her brother's. Fonzie grew up at their house. My grandma always said that he had a hollow leg because he'd come over and eat an entire casserole to himself. He always had a crush on my mom, and years after they met, he finally caught her attention. I remember when they were dating, and he pulled my brother and I aside and asked if he could marry our mom. Eddie said yes, and I said as long as I get to be the flower girl. Well, when my mom and I, and I'm sure there's a few others with us, went to David's bridal, my mom found her dress, and I found mine. She then coined the term miniature bride. My mom literally let me wear a miniature wedding dress in her ceremony because I just thought she looked so pretty and I wanted to match her. My mom always did things her own way. She married Fonzie and became Kelly Marie Mariscal. First came love, then came marriage, then came Juliet Cleopatra Mariscal. She always joked, I finally did it right this time. My mom was someone that found a joke in everything, and probably why Fonzie had a crush on her for over 20 years. I was so excited to be a big sister, but I just couldn't understand why my mom wouldn't let 9-year-old me be in the delivery room. Skip school to be in the delivery room. We had Christmases together, got baptized in the Mormon church, and got puppies. I named mine Sabrina, and my mom picked up her Bible and chose the first name she found, Jezebel. Our Mormon elders later explained we should probably change our dog's name. We didn't. Things were really good, but unfortunately things didn't go as planned, and they later divorced. Though their relationship didn't last the test of time, they created my beautiful sister, Juliet, and I think we can all say that we're all very thankful for that. My mom once again became Kelly Marie Ladner. She decided at this point she wasn't going to remarry, as she would have said, hell, why would I? My damn picker's broken. Though, throughout high school, my mom and I didn't always get along. She was a single mom with 3 kids trying to take care of us and still have a life, and I was a teenage girl full of bitterness, resentment, and probably the only other person more stubborn than her. But I always knew my mom loved me, as I'm sure you knew she loved you too. My mom was always someone I could go to when I was at my lowest. She would tell me that everything's gonna be all right. It didn't ever matter what mistake I made. I could tell her I just killed someone and she'd say, well, lots of people have killed people. When I got my first D, rather than making me feel bad, she simply told me, at least they're not Fs. I could share more stories of how my mom never made me feel bad about the things I'd done, but then I'd have to tell you the things I'd done. She just had this way about her that you could just be your full self around her with no judgment from her. Thankfully, with age and the grace of God, I was able to grow close to my mom these last few years. I think God softened both of our hearts. I wouldn't change the note we ended on for anything in the world. I truly got to enjoy her free spirit and her witty, dirty jokes. My mom was one of the funniest people I ever met, and I absolutely attribute my dirty, dark sense of humor to her. My mom loved music, making people laugh, peacocks, obviously, and karaoke. My mom and I used to sing Love Shack together, And somehow she'd always get our Mormon elders to sing chop suey and pour some sugar on me when they came over for Bible study. If you're friends with her on Facebook, you know she's the queen of reposting. So I thought I'd share a few of her favorites here on the side screens. Eventually. Dun, 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 Sorry, not to make you nervous. Okay, here we go. Aren't you glad we don't look like what we've been through? All right, next one. I wonder if the people paying $300 for a colon cleanse even know about their Taco Bell's $3.99 deal. Men over 30 in skinny jeans. Kyle, you still have a few more months. If you're friends with my mom, wait, I wasn't ready. If you're friends with my mom on Facebook, you also knew how much she loved Melania Trump. There we go. Not all heroes wear capes. Some wear stilettos. Next one. Okay, next one. Next one. Okay, we get it. Okay, we get it. Okay, pause there. I'm not sharing these with you just to make you laugh. I'm sharing because during this time, stalking her Facebook has brought me so much comfort. We can still laugh together. But also in a way, she's been able to support me while I'm grieving her. I love these next few. I love my family with all my heart. Sometimes tears come when I least expect them. I guess that's my heart's way of saying I miss you. Grief, I've learned, is really just love. It's all the love you want to give but cannot. All of that unspent love gathers up in the corners of your eyes, the lumps in your throat, and the hollow part of your chest. Grief is just love with no place to go. We can go back to the, okay, there we go. About 8 years ago, she was diagnosed with alpha-1 emphysema after being treated for asthma for most of her life. A nurse came to our house and showed us how to use her new oxygen tank. They recommended her using it 24/7 and to begin right away. My mom looked at the nurse, looked at the oxygen tank, looked back at the nurse, and said, "I'm not using that all the time. I'm sorry, but no." There might have been a cuss word in there too, but my mom fought hard. She went to more doctor's appointments than I could count and escaped death more times than I care to remember. But yet her humor carried on. She always joked that she had 9 lives, and I heard that joke so many times. She did everything to get on the lung transplant list, but ended up deciding not to undergo lung transplant surgery and living out the rest of her life making the best of her circumstances. She never let on to how much she was suffering. I thought we had more time. She always said she was going to make it until Juliet turned 18, and I believed her. Something that I hold on to is that the last few years of her life, she found a deep understanding of who God is. She found unconditional love, acceptance, and peace through Jesus. I didn't truly understand how deep her love for God is until going through her countless poems and journal entries that she left behind. I know that my mom is in heaven, and I know that he healed our relationship and gave us our reconciliation. A gift that in some ways has made her death so much harder, but a gift nonetheless. I brought one of the poems she wrote last October. It's called Reserie. It's called Reserie. It's also on the back of your cards. I don't have any whys anymore. It's more like how. It's more like where, how. Now I will go without hesitation or fear. I will follow, then lead the way. Through the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. I accept this mission completely, fully, to the highest mountaintops, to the bottom of the deep sea, sea of life, ending of misery. You are my rosary. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. I don't know if I got the mic in here. Okay, that sounds all right. My mom was the most punctual person I ever met. Always on time, usually early. No, in all seriousness, my mom was one of my favorite people. She was a free spirit, a gypsy, a risk taker. She had a heart of gold, and she loved all things music and art. Her intuition was on point. She knew when to walk away, when a place or person or situation was not serving her. She was a stranger to none and a friend to everyone. Her heart was full of compassion and empathy. I remember her volunteering at food banks and helping people in recovery. She was non-judgmental and a great person to go to for advice. She had spiritual depth, and I admire her unwavering faith in God. She loved recognizing synchronicities and signs of heavenly presence. We had serendipitous experiences all the time, meeting people at the right place in the right time, and prayed with strangers. Her perseverance was admirable, and she had the best sense of humor. When people asked her how many kids she had, she used to say, "I have 5 that I know about." It was funny. We spent a good deal of our lives in separate area codes, but she had a gift for making our relationship really close. We had a special connection. I felt like she wasn't only my mom, but my best friend. She loved her children and her grandchildren with her whole heart. She loved being a Meemaw. Our relationship got richer when I had my kids. She used to sing to Jack and Hannah on the phone and babysit so that I could get things done. She always encouraged me to go after my dreams and choose faith over fear, to be in the present moment, and to stand for myself. I am super proud to be Kelly's daughter. I also want to say that I'm really thankful for my siblings and our close relationships. I'm not sure where Eddie's sitting. I don't see him, but no, you're out there. I think that we've all weathered this storm, and it hasn't been easy, but I'm really proud of all of you. And I want to thank everyone who has supported her. She had friends that were really there. She had family members that were present. Her caretakers who were with her a lot during her last days and months. It was such a huge impact on her mental and spiritual well-being, and we talked about it often. And I just am personally very grateful for that, so thank you. She was a great ally in life and really was my best friend, and I really miss her. But I think that's all I have to say today. And again, thank you and love you guys.
guess I am short. Anyway, I've sat where you're sitting on Sundays. I feel a real closeness to this church, but it does look different from up here. Very interesting. I'm very proud of my granddaughters and how they spoke. Nicole had a book she had written last night. This is what I got. So it won't be too long. I need glasses. Kelly used to tell me all the time, Mom, I'm living your life. I said, oh no, you don't want to do that. And she said, yes, I am. And we used to joke about certain things, and that was one of them. So about, I don't know, 3 or 4 nights ago, I was trying to write something about Kelly, and I couldn't get it together. I couldn't even think it. And finally, I wrote this, and I wasn't going to read this. I was going to throw it in the trash. But you guys, you get to hear it. So, and it's short. It says, feelings. If I had 3 wishes, what would they be? One wish would be to see my 3 beautiful daughters one last time, to tell them how much they were a blessing from their first breath to their last. The honor was to be their mother. I didn't leave out the rest of you. I feel that way about you guys too. This is how I really feel. And I'm in church. What the heck do you write on paper to express the love and the sadness you suffer at the loss of your children? You hear it's not natural for children to be outlived by their parents. Says who? God's plan is God's plan. If anything, we need to be prepared. We do this by trusting in His Word. Faith is the only way back to our eternal reward. Love is the key to love one another. Kelly did understand this. She was so ready in so many ways to go home. I believe this with all my being, but, and there's always is a but, my weak human side is so selfish. Excuse me. I did not want to see her go. She fought so hard to remain here for her children. We often joked that the best part of our family was on the other side, waiting to welcome us home. She would imagine that they would greet her with, "Hey, Kelly, what took you so long?" And then I couldn't write anymore. But I'll say this. I don't see her physical side anymore, but I know her spiritual side's in a good place, and I know that is where she wanted to go and be. And so it rests me inside here. Yeah, I still cry. My eyes still hurt. I'll love her and think about her to the day that I go. She said something, we used to talk on the phone, and she'd say, recently, she was in the hospital and then in support group, and I was in the hospital, and we talked for about an hour, and she says, she didn't realize what I would feel, but maybe she did. But she says, "Mom, I hope I die first before you." I said, "What are you saying that for?" And she said, "So I don't have to grieve you." And I says, well, gee, thanks. That's really lovely. And we joked about things like that. And we thought about being on the other side and everything. And she was definitely ready to go there. And my one last thing I want to say is love each other, hug each other, let each other know that you do. And grudges don't get you anything. Forgive. That's what Jesus taught us. So that's all I have to say, and thank you for listening, and hope I don't trip going down the stairs. Bye.
Somewhere out there beneath the paranoid, someone's thinking of me and yelling me tonight. Somewhere out there, someone's saying a prayer that we'll find one another in the base somewhere out there. And even though we know we're very far apart, we are. It hurts to think we might be resting on the same bright star. And when I'm singing as your lullaby, it hurts to think we're sleeping underneath the same big sky. Somewhere out there, if y'all can see us through, there we'll be together. Someone out there, out where dreams come true.
I don't want to follow that. That's why it took me so long to come up here. Hey, that was amazing. And I'm going to come down here because we're going to just open this up for a few minutes for people to share any stories about Kelly. I think that's just such a powerful part of it, and just for navigating the steps just to come down. But yeah, I mean, the stories are so powerful, and I feel so honored to have known Kelly, but to get to know her more through what's being said here. And I just want to say to you, thank you for not throwing that out. I mean, that was so important to hear that, and it was beautiful. So thank you for that with Kelly. I mean, it's... And so I just gonna be here. It's not intimidating. It's not a big thing, but I'll just have the mic here. If anybody wants to come up and share, I'll just share one thing real fast as I open this up, and that is that actually a couple of things. Number one is I love the stories about Kelly, certainly teaching the Mormon elders to sing Pour Some Sugar on Me. And just a side note, she also taught Pastor Tim to sing that to her too. So that was a real win for us. But the other thing about Kelly as just being a strong person, she used to sit in the front row, and of course she had her oxygen, and she'd come and sit right here. And so one day we had a service where we had a guest pastor speaking, and we didn't, unbeknownst to any of us, he was using a prop when he was preaching, and so he decided to take out a pack of cigarettes and light a cigarette on the stage and start smoking it as an example. Well, of course, it freaked out Kelly, and so she was so upset. She was like, "What are you doing?" But not only that, she took her bulletin and wadded it up, and she threw it at him when he was standing on the stage. And so the best thing about it is it got some traction online, because if you watch this online, you see this guy, and he's lighting this cigarette, and all of a sudden this wad of paper comes right by and kind of scrapes by his ear. But what was so awesome, so she walked out, and I walked out with her, and we talked about it. And what she said was so cool, because she was like, "This is God's church. This is my church. You can't do that in God's church." And it was like, it made me realize just how much this church and church meant to her, which was a powerful thing. That was the big thing I learned from it. The second thing I learned from it as well is when she was sitting in the front row, if I was preaching, I would stand back as far as I could, so in case she didn't like something that I had to say. So, but yeah, so if anybody wants to come up right now, it's don't want to make it a big deal, but would love to just to open it up if anybody wanted to take a few moments to share any stories about Kelly.
I'm going to try, you guys. Kelly was more than a friend to me. She was like a sister. And it was an honor to have her in my home. And I love all her children and her family. But there's just one really funny story. Remember back in Pine Top, and we would be karaokeing, and my husband says I can't sing this. But Roxanne. We had so much fun together, and it was just a blessing for her to be in my life, and I miss her so much. And I don't know, all I can say is I love you, Roxanne. 1, 2, 3.
Well said, thank you. Would anybody else like to share a story? Yeah, right here, okay.
Hello, everybody. I was their Uncle Jimmy. I still am. I will be forever. And Kelly and I, we got to share a lot of times together, fun times, sad times. And in the last couple of years, we learned how to agree and disagree with each other, because a few times I could get her going and she'd get mad at me. But I know, the old saying is, she's in a better place. I truly believe that, because I am spiritual. I do have a higher power I call God. And she didn't have an evil bone in her body. So I know she's where she's supposed to be. She's not one of those people that you wonder. I know she's in a good place with her sisters and the rest of our family. And I thank you all for being here and being a part of this. I love you. And love, to me, isn't a word. It's an action. It's what you do for others. Thank you.
Well said, thank you. Would anybody else like to share anything? Okay. There'll be plenty of oh, yeah, here we go. Sure, here.
So I'm Kelly's sister, Lynette. She never called me Lynette. She always called me Sissy. Even though I'm 52, that was still my name. Anyway, I'm honored that I got to have some really intimate time with Kelly for 2.5 years when I got to have her live with us. She drove me crazy, but I loved her so much. I know she'd be really happy that this started late today. I appreciate everybody for allowing that to happen, because otherwise we honestly would not have been honoring her. I only just wanted to share one little story, and I won't go into details, so I'll keep it short and sweet. But I'm 5 years younger than Kelly, and she was my biggest protector. Nobody could mess with me. She had went to high school, she was 4 years ahead of me in high school. I had already gone through. She already put the word out, like, nobody messes with my sister. And she was so serious about that. I mean, she could, but nobody else could. But Kelly was so serious about it that she used to get me into fights just so she could protect me. And that's one of the things that just cracks me up about her, because she was so spirited and she just had so much spunk. She didn't want anybody to mess with me, so she would get me in fights with people years after any problems with them had happened, when I'd run into them places. And I would be like, Kelly, what are you doing? Like, I don't want to argue with this person. She was like, no, they wronged you. I'm going to go tell them. So anyhow, I loved her a lot. Some of my greatest memories from growing up with her are her teaching me how to do makeup and hair. And she would do my hair. I had the best hair of any fourth grader, because I don't think anybody else got up and curled their hair every day to have it perfect, but I did, because Kelly did it. And I remember everybody always, I don't know, most of you guys aren't old enough to remember this, but do you remember Farrah Fawcett hair? I was trying to rock it today, because that's how Kelly always did my hair. So anyway, I was always grateful for that. I feel like she made me be the foo-foo-y girly girl that could also punch you in the throat if you deserved it kind of girl. So anyhow, I love her, miss her, love her kids. I love our family, and I love her friends. And I'm just so grateful to have everybody here honoring her. So thank you all.
Awesome, thank you. Anybody else? Thank you for sharing. And oh yeah, okay, sure.
I don't know why you raised my hand, but I did. I never met Kelly, but meeting Nicole, hearing Kelly's story, made me understand why Nicole is just such an amazing person. The talent she has, the love she has. I can tell her mom loved a lot of people in her life. And I taught Nicole who to find. And I watched Kyle and Nicole. Kelly is a good mom. She was real. And I hope I am like that to Kendall, to my 1-year-old. I know that Kelly had a lot of hard times with Nicole and her youngest daughter, Juliet. But she obviously taught Nicole something. It's how to be a good mom and know what's right and wrong. I guess that's all I can say is Nicole is a good person, and I know she learned that from Kelly. I remember when I first met Nicole, I was lost, and she told me she was lost. And we found each other, and I'm going at this on the top of my head, but I just want to say I love you, Nicole and Kyle and Juliet. And I can see the humor that Kelly has dominoed through her family. I just want to say that this is an amazing family, and I've loved how Nicole introduced me to what a real family looks like. And that's all I have to say, but I wanted to say this for you, Nicole.
Thank you. Oh, okay.
My name is Charlene. I worked for the Salvation Army for years. I ran the food closet in Colfax. And I met Kelly through a program we had for a camp and Juliet went to the camp, and she was my favorite camper. Anyway, Kelly and I became friends. I saw her a lot toward the end. I didn't know I was gonna not see her again. I just kept thinking I'd see her. I saw her in December. Okay, the thing that impressed me most when I first met Kelly was, and she was sick already. I mean, she already had issues and needed the surgery that she'd never got, was that I needed bell ringers at the store and at the post office. And I don't know how she could do it. She would come out and ring the bell. And I know she was cold and miserable, but she just had such a love of doing things for people. And I loved her so much, and I miss her. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, sure.
Kelly Ladner, our sister and friend, everybody here, was a pure person. Not perfect by any means, none of us are. But the one thing I will say is, if we're all here together, if you have anything to say, this is the last time we're all going to be together. And, you know, I mean, even if it's a moment, it's special. It's special to me, all of us siblings, my mother. I spent an amazing amount of years with my sister Kelly and her kids. We share kids the same age. Beautiful woman, more than anybody could imagine, inside and out. Powerful, like my sister Lynette said, more powerful than most people would even really know. She shared unconditionally, and she had her opinions, definitely. But those are hers, and those are our rights as humans. And I'm going to say it out loud, just like all you are. I love her, and I will always love her, and she'll always be in my heart as well as everybody that's here. So if you have anything to say, you should stand up and say it now.
Thank you. Well said.
My name's Carrie. I'm a friend of Kelly, aka my bestie. I met Kelly downstairs in the cafe. I was walking by, turning off the TVs, I think, and she just stopped me, and everybody was leaving, and it was almost empty, and she just stopped me and started talking. And if you know Kelly, it's really hard to get out of a conversation because she just has a lot to say, and she loves to tell stories. And I mean, after about 10 minutes standing there, she said, you know what? I think we're going to be friends forever, and I think you're going to be my family. And little did she know, I already was integrated with her family in a couple different ways. But she just had this spirit about her, and once she set her sights on you, like, she was going to love you no matter what. And through some of my darkest times, when I was isolating, she would stop by where I lived and honk and make me come outside and just say, hey, I love you. She couldn't get out of the car because of her oxygen, but she would drive up, and she knew that I would come outside and see her, and she was just relentless in her love. and her pursuit of her friends. And I admire her so much that she never felt sorry for herself or for what she was going through, and all she did was encourage and love everybody around her. So she has 2 beautiful children. I've been through a lot with both of them. That I know too, I'm very close to. And I've gotten to know her whole family, and they've embraced me just like one of their own. And it's just amazing to hear all the stories about her. That's it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I don't know very many of you here. I'm Kelly's sister on her father's side, the youngest sister. My name's Peggy. I think maybe we met a long time ago. But something funny. She used to call me all the time, and she would call me. I'm at work. She'd talk, and I'd be like, I gotta go back to work. And then we'd play like phone tag, and she'd try to get a hold of me, or I'd try to get a hold of her. And I think she changed her number a couple times, unless I just lost it, but I know my number changed too. But every time she would go on and on about how much she loved her family, and she'd tell me all about all these people that I never knew. And I'm like listening to her stories, and she always wanted me to come up with my boys and come to see her and bring my little ones to come hang out and see all of her grandchildren and all this. And I think she wasn't feeling good one day, or I got called into work or whatever, but I'm kicking myself now that we couldn't spend more time together. So I love her, and thank you all. Just make time for the people you love, because we don't have forever.
Yeah, thank you. Good. I knew I should have wore tennis shoes today.
My name's Richard Taliaferro, and I met Kelly shortly after I got my house built in Colfax in about 1998. And I was playing music out, and that's how we met. And fast forward 20 years, 18 years or so, we got together, and she showed me a tattoo on her ankle that was EW for Ed Webb. That's also the initials of my late wife, which was Elizabeth Woods. So the chances of that happening, just meeting somebody that had your late wife's, is almost, the astronomical. But I did talk to her the day before she passed away, and we were still planning on getting together and playing music. We remained really good friends after we were together. And, one of the things I told Nicole on the phone when she told me about this was that when my first wife passed away at the memorial service, her mom was grieving, much in the same way that, you're not supposed to outlive your kids. But one thing she did tell everybody, and it really touched me in a deep way, was she said that we were so glad and so fortunate to have known her. And, I think everybody in this room feels that way, or should feel that way, that, I know from experience that, that because she and Nicole and Nettie and Juliet lived at my house for, about a year? Something like that, yeah. And that was a real experience for all of us, because my ex-wife wouldn't leave us alone and kept the house was burglarized, and yeah. And, I remember driving home, and I saw Nicole walking from school, and you were about 12, I guess, and I said, "Hey, little girl, you want to ride?" She said, "Mister, if you give me a candy bar, I'll get in the car with you." So we did have some fun, but man, it was a time. I'll tell you. I didn't even recognize you. anyway, I'll really miss her. And, the thing that she just had an undying love for everybody. And and listening to all the things that were said about her, she really did have an unconditional love for people and life, I mean, she just really, and when she would play and sing, it was incredible. She had, like you said, Allison, like without judgment, she just was an amazing human being. The main thing is, I just wanted to say that we are fortunate to have known such an amazing human being. So, I'll love her too.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name's Judith. I'm one of Kelly's many sisters. When you start counting the other side, it's pretty incredible. I'm number 5. Kelly was number 3. You may know me better as Prudith. That's what Kelly called me. We were like polar opposites, and she also had another name for me when I was little, but I won't say that. But Kelly, we were at odds at different times as when we were younger, but when I was 17 years old, she took me in, and she got me a job, and I learned how to make cakes, but I was never as good at decorating them as she was. And I lived with her in Tahoe for a time, and it was really when I got to know my sister, because she was older and she moved away, and she had kids, and I was, doing my thing. But I didn't realize how protective she was of me. Like Lynette was saying, that she did beat somebody up for Lynette. Sorry, sis. But the woman deserved it. Anyhow, until I lived with her, and I realized that there was no man who was ever going to come near me so long as Kelly was there. She didn't trust any of them, and she kept them all away from me. And she was my big sister forever. I mean, she was very protective of the people she loved. And whether or not I was Prudith, and we disagreed on a lot of stuff, she always told me she loved me, and she also called me Sissy. And then after she died, I was trolling her Facebook page, like Nicole said, and I felt like I took so many screenshots of the crazy stuff. I have this whole section in my phone now, of all these crazy pictures, like how funny she was. She had the funniest sense of humor. Everybody said that, but it's so true. But also it made me realize that there was a side of her that I didn't know very well. And in doing this and sharing all of our stories and talking to her friends, not just her family, because I didn't know a lot of her friends, but I feel like I'm getting to know my sister all over again. It's just been very special. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
So I might be the biggest guy here. Lubbock's second. Okay, so I'm gonna try not to cry, because don't let it fool you, man. Jason, I've been sitting here deciding whether I was gonna talk or not, and I'm only up here because of you. So growing up, I was real close to my grandma. She taught me how to cook. She didn't let me get down on myself for my mistakes. She didn't let me get down on myself for what other people thought of me. My grandma died before I met Carrie. Carrie didn't get to meet her, but I didn't know I was going to be coming into a family of my grandmas, because I'm not kidding you, every one of them has been as accepting of me and loving and caring of me as my grandma ever was. I met Ed and Nicole and Kelly when Carrie was living in the apartments with her mom in Lodi, and Nicole was just running around in a dirty diaper, And I was like, man, whose kids are these? And Carrie's like, these are my Aunt Kelly's kids. And she came back into the apartment. I don't remember where they went. Carrie was watching the two of the kids, and they came back, and dude, I thought somebody broke into the apartment. She come flying in, and la, 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 loud as could be. I didn't know what was going on. Carrie's like, that's my Aunt Kelly. And I was like, dude, she reminded me of my Uncle Kelly. And I know, it's strange, and I told Carrie about that. I said, God, she's just like my uncle. She's free-spirited, loud, wild, didn't care what anybody said about him. I was sitting with Kelly one time. I think it was at Lynette's house, and I was kind of upset about some stuff on Facebook, some stuff people had said about me. And in true Kelly fashion, she said, F them. And I thought, okay, yeah, you're right. And I tried to keep those words with me. It's bad words, but it's really helped me for a lot now, because I kind of got tired of what people thought of me, and I kind of got tired of caring what people thought about me. And I thought, God, man, I should just be more like Kelly. She just lets it flow, man. She don't care. She don't care what you people think of her, and she just tried to be herself. And Grandma said, what do you say? What do you put down on paper about it? And I watched my grandma go through the same thing. My Uncle Bobby died when I was 6. Died of a heart attack in his sleep. And I watched it just crush my grandma. And then I watched my grandma lift herself back up out of that and still cook food for my uncle's funeral. So, Grandma, there is nothing you can put into words. There's nothing you can write on paper. There's nothing you can express to us. The only thing that I can say is, look at the children you produced, look at the children that she produced, and look at the children that they're producing. They're beautiful, loving, caring souls.
Thank you. Did you want to share?
Hi, I'm Steph. I'm one of the bonus siblings. First, thank you everybody for coming to honor our sister, mom, aunt. It's obviously kind of unfortunate that these are the times that we find ourselves in, that we make time to be present. And even though it's the person's passing, we still need to be grateful that everybody has come from far and wide, and that is a very wonderful, wonderful thing. I would say, in the sense, like Judith, I didn't know my sister very much. Oddly enough, like thinking about it, I have more memories with my two sisters, Karen and Julie, that have been gone for quite some time than I do with my sister Kelly. However, about 5 years ago, Liz and I were on our way home from Texas on an interesting adventure that is definitely not worth the story. And Kelly was at Lynette's house, and they were out of town, and she said, yep, you guys can come stay at our house. And so we took a respite at Lynette's house, and my wife and I got to spend a couple days with my sister Kelly. And never in my life do I ever remember having a couple days of just being able to spend some time with my sister. And hindsight 2020, and thank goodness that year is way past, I absolutely cherish that memory. I'm very grateful to have seen my sister in a good place, and for the stories that we shared, and just a touch still on her generosity and her kindness. So it was July of 2017. I was getting ready, in a sense, to turn 41 in September, and she was like, well, Steph, what'd you do for your 40th birthday? And I'm like, nothing. And before we left, Kelly went to town, or I think Michelle I don't know. But before we left, she made sure that I had some cake. And she goes, remember when Grandma would give us the money that we were for our birthday? She's like, here's $40. And I absolutely, I cherish that so deeply. And like, as some of us don't live in the same state, and some of us do, and we still don't see each other. but it doesn't mean that we don't love each other, that we're not thought of. And it is really amazing to see how many people Kelly touched, even for the people that can't be here. And I'm really grateful for people taking the time out of their day and for being able to have their children present to celebrate this time with our family. So thank you.
Took me a minute to find the line there. Jason, thank you seriously for promoting, because I was thinking, I'll just keep it to myself, but, thank you so much. I've known the Ladner family since 1986. They're just like family. Spent a lot of time with them. I didn't know Kelly then because she was a lot older than me, but we started playing music together in, 2008 or something. And do I need, just kidding. And she loved rock and roll. I'm not much into rock and roll. I'm more into folk and stuff, but I learned House of the Rising Sun, so that's her. Anytime I hear that song, and it's on her Facebook page, Imagine, and amazing, like she loved, and she didn't love everybody, because anybody who crossed her mother, I'll tell you what, don't mess with, don't talk to that guy. He swindled my mom for money, no. So I'm sure she's a little more understanding now, who knows, but she used to call me Mr. Agan. So my dad actually walked her down the aisle when she married Fonzie, and I was good friends with Fonzie as well. I've known him for quite a while. I spent Alicia, my wife and I here, Alicia, we're honored to be her caregivers last 6 months or so. And when I say honored, I mean honored when I found out that she was moving back to Colfax and that she needed some extra help, and that's just what we do, and no-brainer. So being able to get to know Stacy and Lindsay more, and to be able to just spend that time with her, in case anybody's feeling guilty at all for not visiting her enough, she was really was afraid of getting sick from other people. So even if you offered to come over, she would probably not let you in her house. She was just very, very afraid of getting sick. She wasn't I'll tell you what, she is the strongest person I've ever met. Like, literally, I mean, she hung on. She was miserable most of the time. But every time we came over there, we were belly laughing. I cannot I can't talk about what we talked about because we're at church. I was trying to think of a conversation I could say, no, I could tell her anything. We could talk about anything whatsoever. The only reason that she was afraid to pass on, she's very, very faithful. She did not want to leave Juliet high and dry, and that's the only reason that she was afraid at all. But she also had faith that people, that Juliet, you would have support, like the best support ever, and that you would be taken care of and loved, and you are. And so, I was just was very, very sad to see her say goodbye to Kelly, but I know for a fact she's in a better place. I just know that for sure. So anyway, thank you very much. Oh, Alicia wants to talk now. All right.
Want to is kind of stretch, but I'm really glad you said that. It's really true. People say thank you or I'm glad you were there for her. I'm like, no, okay, I cannot tell you how much of an honor it was to spend time with Kelly. Like, thank you. Like, I just can't tell you how much I loved her, just deeply, deeply loved her. And I think everyone speaking can say, like, there's so many cliches, like, she was everyone's best friend, but I can just think of her sitting on the bed and she looked up at me with her striped glasses and her lenses taped in. And she goes, I think we could really be best friends, right? And I'm like, we are, like, yeah, right now, currently. Like, she's just the most precious. And I'm going to get a memorial tattoo for her. I don't have any tattoos. I never even really wanted tattoos, but I feel like she's just right here. I don't know why that spot, but she's just there. And I was trying to express, like, how I was feeling when she passed away at home, and I I couldn't, and I realized I call her elemental. Like, she was not just, she was like an element. Like, she was like a force, like fire, water. Like, she was so powerful. And when I met Kelly, she was already in a wheelchair. And I remember hearing she's coming back to Colfax, and I got home and was like, oh my God, Kelly's moving back, and she's gonna live with Stacy, and I get to take care of her. And I was like so excited to tell my daughter. My daughter's like, who's Kelly? I'm like, you know Kelly, she was in a wheelchair, really kind of crazy, super awesome, really sweet. She's really loud. My daughter's like, oh my God, she's the best. I'm like, yes, I know. So I just, Kelly changed my life. Kelly changed me as a person. Kelly got me to say, I started saying I love you to Kelly, and I don't say that to people out loud. Like, it's just not, it doesn't come naturally for me, and it comes a lot more naturally now. I forced myself when I walked out the door every day to say, I love you, I'll see you tomorrow, I love you, and so that's all. I just wanted to share that.
One funny thing that is kind of dark. I actually, I showed up one day at her house, and she needed to go to the hospital. So she was there for a month. And when she got back, she said, thank you for saving my life, and F you for saving my life.
Okay, one more, and then we're going to move on. Come on now. Yeah, one more here.
Hello, everyone. I'm Brian. I'm one of the many kids who was blessed enough to be a part of the Ladner family growing up over the years. I'll never forget, we were 14, 15 years old or something, and I came over to Jay's house, and we're playing in a band in his bedroom, having a great time, and Kelly was one of our biggest fans. She would sit in there, we would have it up to 11, and she'd be in the room with us just like, yeah, you guys rock. And she reminded me of like the cool older sister, like, wow, the cool older sister, she can drive. And so she would, like, hey, can we get a ride to town? No problem, anytime. Can we get a ride back from town? No problem. She was always there and always supported our music. And she had a huge heart. Over the years, I didn't see her very often, but when I did, I always knew that I was going to get a big smile and a big hug. And I always look forward to that. And up until I'll just never forget that smile and that hug is the biggest thing I'll remember about Kelly. And it's good to see all of you. And again, it is unfortunate to come together under these circumstances, but I'm glad I came today to see all of these wonderful faces and be a part of this awesome family. And my heart goes out to each one of you. And I'll always remember Kelly in that way. So.
Thank you. Great stories. We're gonna move forward just for the sake of time. There'll be plenty of opportunity at the reception to be able to share more. Just amazing stories, and hopefully that touches your heart. I know it has for mine, but we're going to do a slideshow right now. One side note, too, just in sharing the stories, I don't think I've been part of a group that I've heard more conversations starting out with, well, I really can't say this because we're in church. So that's pretty awesome, but the stories are great, so thank you for that. And again, you'll have plenty of time to share at the reception more of these amazing stories of Kelly and the impact. So we're going to go ahead and see an amazing slideshow right now.
There is a house in New Orleans they call the rising sun, and it's been the ruin of many a poor boy. And God, I know I'm one. My mother was
my grip, and words that have no form are falling from my lips. These dreams go on when I close my eyes. Every second of the night, I live another life. These dreams that sleep when it's cold outside. Every morning I'm awake, the further I'm away. There's something out there I can't resist. I need to hide away from I hear the ticking of the clock. I'm lying here, the room's pitch dark. I wonder where you are tonight. No answer on the telephone. And the night goes by so very slow. Oh, I hope that it won't end though. Alone. Till now, I always got by on my own. I never really cared until I met you. And now it tells me to the moon. How do I get to alone? How do I get to alone? You don't know how long I have wanted to touch your lips and hold you tight. Oh, you don't know how long I have waited, and I was gonna tell you tonight. But the secret is still my own, and my love for you is still unknown. Alone. Till now, I always got by on my own. I never really cared until I met you. And now it chills me to the bone. How do I get to alone? How do I get to alone? When you walked into my house, that you won't be walking out the door. Lovers forever, face to face. My city of mountains, stay with me, stay. I need you to love me, I need you today. Give to me your leather, take from me my lace. You in the moonlight with your sleepy eyes. Could you ever love a man like me? And you were right when I walked into your house. I knew I'd never want to leave. Sometimes I'm a strong man, sometimes cold and scared, and sometimes I cry. But that time I saw you, knew with you to light my nights. Somehow I'd get by. Lovers forever, face to face. My city on mountain, stay with me. take from me. Take from me.
Well, one of the things I kept hearing over and over as the band gets ready, because we're going to have some fun singing here in just a second, is I love her. It was repeated over and over again. I love her. I love her. And when you look at your life, each and every one of us, we're writing our memorials right now. And there's no greater memorial than when, at the end, people talk about friendship and love and family and community. Carrie characterized it as relentless love. And in life we have so many ups and downs, and there are struggles, plain and simple. Where do you find the strength, even after maybe failing, or your heart's been broken, and you're just wondering, how do we go forward? There's a scripture on the front of your memorial card. It comes from Isaiah the prophet, 2,700 years ago. He gave us the key. He said, those who wait, those who hope in the Lord shall renew their strength. They will mount up with wings as eagles. Shall run and not faint. Shall not walk and not grow weary. And today, we're just taking a step together. Today's a day for walking together. You know, when life's moving fast, when you're flying, when you're running fast, it's hard to create the really close and special relationships. But when you slow down with God and with each other, that's when you get to know each other. That's when love happens. We're going to sing some songs. The first song is, I believe, a song about grace. I'm going to have you all stand right now. You've all been sitting for a while. My instructions are these. If you know the words of the song, sing. And if you feel like dancing, dance. Okay? Everybody in? All right. Take it away, guys.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saves a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. My chains are gone, I've been set
that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven. When she gets there, she knows if the stores are all closed, with a word she can get what she came for. And she's buying a stairway to heaven. There's a sign on the wall, but she wants to be sure. 'Cause you know sometimes words have two meanings. In a tree by the brook, there's a songbird who sings. Sometimes all of our thoughts are misgiving. And she's buying a stairway to heaven. Knocking on heaven's door. Hey, hey, hey. Knocking on heaven's door. Knocking on heaven's door. Knocking on heaven's door.
I saw him dancing there by the record machine. I knew he must have been about 17. The beat was going strong, playing my favorite song. It wouldn't be long till he was with me, yeah, me. I can tell it wouldn't be long till he was with me, yeah, me. Singing, I love rock and roll, so come and put a dime in the jukebox, baby. I love rock and roll, so come and take your time and dance with me. are setting like molasses in the sky. Boys knew how to move everything. Always wanting more. He leave you longing for. Black velvet in that little boy's smile. Black velvet with that soul southern style. A new religion that'll bring you to your knees. Black velvet, if you please. You're a heartbreaker, dream maker, love taker, don't you mess around me. You're a heartbreaker, dream maker, love taker, don't you mess around. No, no, no. Your love has set my soul on fire, burning out of control. Only the ways of desire, how I'll take it so. You know what kind of sinner to release my inner fantasy. In the midst of the winter, and you know that you were born to be. You're a heartbreaker, dream maker, love taker, don't you mess around me. You're a heartbreaker, dream maker, love taker, don't you mess around. No, no, no.
Come on, sing it with us. Take me down to the paradise city where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Take me home. Take me down to the paradise city where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Take me home. Just a rich and living under the steel. Hard cases, hard to beat. I'm a charity case, so buy me something to eat. I'll pay you in another time. Don't make me go to the line. Well, as the rich is something, so they say. You gotta keep pushing for the fortune and fame. You know it, it's a little gamble when it's just a game. You treat it like a capital crime. Everybody's doing the time. Take me down to the paradise city where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Take me home. Take me down to the paradise city where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Take me home. Take me down to the paradise city where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Take me home. Say I say take me home. Take me
Thank you, guys. If you don't have a church home, you're always welcome here at Green Valley. You will hear at least one of those songs that you just heard now. All right. Boy, what a day of celebrating Kelly's life. It's been so special. Thank you for being here. A couple things are going to happen. One is, in a moment, the ushers are going to lead the family out first. Secondly, we're going to have an amazing meal together where we can just slow down a little bit, solidify these friendships, let love and comfort flow, and just let God be what he wants to be, as John said earlier, close to the brokenhearted. And finally, I'm going to pray, and then we'll dismiss. Let's pray. Father, thank you that we have an opportunity to come together like this and celebrate a life, not a perfect life, not a perfect person, but a person who found out what's really important, and that's to love one another as you taught us. And God, we just thank you that your love for us is relentless. And even if we wander away, you leave those who are safe and you go find us. We thank you so much. Now, God, I just especially pray that Kelly's memory would burn brightly in each and every heart today. We love you, Jesus. Thank you for loving us. It's in your name that we pray. Amen. God bless you, and thank you for being here.
Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more. Once I rose above the noise and confusion, just to get a glimpse beyond this illusion. I was so